Hi, welcome to Our Family Vine. Today we're going to touch on a hard subject for our family, and it's in honor of October being Infant Loss Awareness Month. In the past, we have shared our stillbirth story. If you haven't, you can go ahead and check it out. But I did notice that we never talked about the day. The reason I'm sharing it is to help other moms that have gone through it, are going through it, and sometimes sharing your testimony can help somebody. So this happened in 1999, as I had said, and so our boys would be 21 years old today, and they would be turning 22 next month. I never, ever expected to lose them at all. Like, not at all. I did everything they asked me to do, that the doctors, the specialists have asked me to do. I did everything, like to a T. I made sure I ate right, that I slept right, and if you said to be on bed rest, I was bedridden. Like, I did everything. So to lose them was really devastating to me. Our twins were identical, so they were sharing a placenta, and one twin was growing bigger than the other. The smaller baby, he was Angel, and he was growing smaller, but they said he was actually stronger than the bigger one. And the bigger one, our bigger son, was Christian. We were only days away from our scheduled C-section, because the way the boys were situated in my belly, here was the head of Christian, and then his body, and then here was the bottom was Angel's head right here, and he was going up. And Angel's, so they obviously couldn't come down that way. So they scheduled me for a C-section, and it was going to be within like a few days. So I was like right at the end. We had all their stuff washed. Everything was ready in their drawers. We had their bassinets ready. So we were really prepared, and the really hard part was the hard part was that we were already at the hospital the day before I lost them. Like, I was being monitored, and they were fine. And that's what I kind of think about, or what I used to always think about, was that we were there already. So why didn't they just deliver me then, But they sent me home. They said they were fine, and so I went home. Cesar and I went home. And by early morning, I started getting contractions. And we called the doctor, and he said, okay, I'll meet you at the hospital. And we were so excited. I mean, because we thought that day we were going to meet him. And I remember the joy that we had. I remember the joy that we were feeling, and we were so excited. And I had their diaper bag, I had their clothes, and we were like, the drive to the hospital, we were so excited, and we were laughing, and we were like, oh, we're gonna not be able to sleep. This is we never ever imagined going to the hospital and it turning into a nightmare. Like, not 1 second did we think that. When we got to the hospital, and they put me in a room, and the doctor came in, and he was like, okay, we're gonna just deliver you. And he brought in the ultrasound little monitor, and he was checking on the boys, and I just saw it in his face. That worried look, and all he said was, bring me in another machine. I mean, his happiness, of the doctor's like happiness, he turned extremely serious, and he just said, bring me another monitor, to the nurse. And so she went out, and Cesar and I started to worry and get really scared, and they brought in the other monitor, and you know, he was checking on the boys, and he had to tell us that he couldn't find a heartbeat. I remember the first thing I asked was, you know, both of them? And he said yes. And he said, I'm so sorry. That was the hardest thing that I've ever heard. I knew I was hysterical. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, like, this has to be a joke. Like, that's impossible. I was just here yesterday, and you guys sent me home. You guys said everything was fine, and to come back not even 24 hours later, and they're gone. That wasn't fair to me. And then the doctor said, I was already 37 weeks, so he said, we still have to deliver your boys. The doctor said that once they were delivered, if I wanted to see them, I wanted to hold them. And my first reaction was like, no. Cesar was like, yes, I want to see them. For me, being right then and there, when he asked me initially, I thought it would be so hard for me to see them and not be able to take them home, you know? That I would see them, and so yeah, I said no. Because it was going to be too hard for me to then have to physically let him go. And the doctor was like, okay. So they prepped everything. I don't really remember much that happened. I know family was coming in and out, and a lot of commotion was happening in there that I didn't even care about. All I cared about was my boys, and that they weren't there anymore. And I seriously didn't care what was going around me. Like, I didn't even feel when they put in a epidural, and no, actually I think they did, I think it was an epidural. And I didn't feel it. I didn't care. I was so numb at that point that I didn't even care. Before they brought me into the delivery room, the doctor asked me one more time if I wanted to see them. And he said to think about it, because when he's been in this situation before, I guess he said that parents usually will regret not seeing them. And he didn't want me to regret not ever seeing them. And so he really wanted me to think about it and give it one more thought. And by then, I said yes, that I would want to see them. And I'm glad I did. So as hard as it was, I am glad that I did see them, and I'm glad that I did hold them, because that's all I have. It's the only memory I have of them outside of my womb. But as they were wheeling me into the room, I guess I started to panic. And so I think they gave me something in the IV to just relax, because I was like having an attack, like an anxiety attack. And I do remember, the nurse whispering in my ear if she could pray for me. Of course, I said yes. And so when they delivered Angel and Christian, I believe Cesar was the one who got to see them come out, and he did cut their cord, the umbilical cord, so he did get to do that. And when I saw them, they just looked like they were sleeping, and they were perfect. And I remember in that moment, I prayed. I really wished like life would just magically appear inside them. And obviously that didn't happen, but they were perfect. They were like, they're everything, the way they looked, everything, and honestly it just looked like they were sleeping. And then they brought me to the recovery room, and they brought them to us, and I remember holding both of them in my arms, one on each side, and I prayed over them, and I told them how much I loved them. And I remember my cousin said she was in the room, and she said that I just let out this like silent cry, scream. She was like, it's a sound you can't even explain, and I don't remember it at all. Cesar got to hold them, and I do have pictures, but we didn't have I don't think there was like digital cameras, and no one had phones that you could take pictures on, so I have some pictures that we took, but the one where I'm holding both of them, I can't find. I've tried to look for them. I have them together, and I have them, Cesar holding them. I don't have one where I'm holding them, but I know that picture exists somewhere out there. I don't know, you can't really explain how that makes you feel, like how that makes, from a point of view of a mom, to hold your baby and they're no longer there, and they look like they should be, they look like they're just asleep, and you wish you could do anything. You would give your own life to just have them wake up and open their eyes or take a breath, and you can't. And it's not possible, and you wish you could. Because I would have done anything for them. Just like for any of my kids, I would do anything for them. And at that moment, I would have traded my life for them. Easy. And that's probably the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. What I've ever done in my whole life. It's the hardest thing. We had to say goodbye, and I remember I couldn't do a service, a funeral service, like all that. Cesar did all that. I couldn't. Mentally, I just wasn't there. and Cesar did it all. And I know from a father's point of view, grief hit him so much differently, and his point of view is completely different from mine. You know, as a father and as the man that I know, Cesar, he's a protector, and I know that this, what happened, it was devastating for him because he didn't protect us. I mean, he couldn't, obviously, I mean, but for him, he felt responsible, I felt responsible, even though it was something that happened. As their mom, as my first pregnancy, I felt like I failed. You know, even though I did everything they told me, at that last minute, at that point, at the finish line, I felt like I failed. So I carried that with me for a long time. I mean, I'm fine now, and you know, I have 4 beautiful, amazing children who is everything to me. My family is everything to me. And that's why, for us, sometimes I feel like we could tend to be a little overprotective just because of our loss. But at the same time, we know the importance of time with our kids, because it's not guaranteed. I thought we had forever with Angel and Christian, and I didn't. You know, all I have are memories of my pregnancy with them and their delivery, that devastation. And the hardest part for me, on top of that, was going home. It was just me and Cesar, and we went home, and it was empty-handed, like, you know, it was the worst. Going home was just, it was heartbreaking, you know, and still had their diaper bag and the things that they were supposed to wear, and I don't know. So, yeah, that happened almost 22 years ago, and talking about it, sometimes you just feel like you're right back there. A lot of the things I felt, I blamed myself for because they were inside of me, you know, and I know there was nothing that I could have done, and I've dealt with that. I've worked on that, and it's just, you know, especially it being our first pregnancy, it was hard. You know, then we went straight into the holidays after that. I didn't want to be around anybody. New Year's, like, everything was the worst for me. And first Mother's Day, Father's Day, just the worst. It's the worst. Cesar tried his best to just try to make me happy, and it was just hard. Those were some dark days looking back. I love them. I love Angel and Christian with all my heart. They are a part of this family. And I know I always say, you know, in our intro, 4 beautiful kids, when I have 6. You know, I do. I have 2 beautiful sons in heaven that I feel their presence all the time. You know, our symbol is a feather, a white feather. And I have seen white feathers land on my shoulder. I have seen white feathers randomly land on my arm, flown into my car window. I've had my front door blow open from the wind and a white feather flying right in it. Sometimes when times are tough or with anything or just my day, and I look down, there's a feather, like, I feel their presence all the time around me. And I know they have a deep connection with Gabby, so I constantly always feel them around me. And, you know, I'm so blessed that I had them in my life, even for that short time. And that experience, or this experience of losing them, has made me a more, I mean, I think I would have still been a good mom, but I'm just trying my hardest to be present all the time with my kids, honestly, because that's you never know, So I hope sharing this story helps anybody out there that needed to hear this. Know that I understand. I've had a few people send me messages of their loss or just commenting on their loss. Thank you for sharing. This is a safe community, at least with me and my family. Know that you're loved, know that you're not alone. Send me any message. I will definitely respond, and I'm thinking of everyone who's lost somebody out there, praying for all of you, and just stay safe, everyone. Blessings to everyone, and I hope this message, or sharing my story, can help somebody out there. Thanks for watching.